Hi everyone, we are in day 21 of quarantine, and like many of you, I have family and friends who are in the medical profession, and they are still working. They are not in quarantine, and they're putting their lives on the line to hopefully help save some, and knowing they can't save all. And of course, there's a shortage of equipment, and protective measures are almost non-existent in some places. I've got a few friends telling me they have to supply their own mask, and one friend saying we get one mask per shift. So I just wanted to make a little something for them, just to let them know I'm praying for them and I'm thinking of them, and I wanted to show you guys how you could do it too. So I will be using a stamp set. You'll need some type of greeting. I'm using Stampin' Up's Peaceful Moments because I liked the way this thank you is, and it was about the size we needed. We're going to be making this card. So as you can see, there's all sorts of fun stuff. You will need glue. I'm going to be using Tombow glue. And you will also need, of course, you need an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of paper, and this will be your base. So you can actually just go ahead and fold that and put it off to the side, because after this is actually, oddly enough, the last thing you'll need. I have a 1.5 inch punch. If you don't have a 1.5 inch punch, I'm going to talk to you about some options there. I have a piece of designer series or scrapbook paper. For those of you who don't know what designer series paper is, it's just decorated scrapbook paper. You can also use solid colored cardstock, and I cut this 5.5 by, I did this 4 1/8 because I want to be able to see a little bit of the side but not too much. I also have, I guess this is like a tan color paper for skin tone. You don't have to put a skin tone on there. It's just the only color I had even remotely close to any skin tone. And since I'm sending out to people of different skin tones, I hope it won't matter. I took my die cuts and I cut out a circle. You won't necessarily need this. I'm going to show you some alternatives, but you'll definitely need some gray cardstock or black or whatever color you want to use for the stethoscope. But I cut it out, and I'm going to need this part, and I'm going to need this part too, so don't throw that away. And I'll show you alternatives if you don't have a die cut machine, because not everyone does. I am also using this balloon punch from Stampin' Up. I'm going to use it for the little earpieces, and I'm actually going to use it for the stethoscope head part. And I'll show you how to do that. And you can also just draw this and do it. It's not that difficult. You will need some kind of label punch. You can actually skip this step. This is a retired label punch, but it's the one I like the best, because you can actually stamp right on the card. You don't necessarily have to stamp on that. I also have some dimensionals, because I want my thing to pop. And then I've got some 1/2 inch strip of that same color paper, because I want that. I punched out a 1 inch. I did it as a complementary color. I used Coastal Cabana because I really liked it and I thought it highlighted that well. You'll need a black pen or marker, fine tip. You will need some scrap paper. And you will need a ruler and or the banner punch. Remember, the banner punch is the triangle part. Now I don't have that right here, but that's fine. I also have my snail adhesive, which I will also use for this, but definitely at least have one. If I had to use just one, I would actually use the Tombow because of the intricacy of it. And I have some scrap red paper, and I have an itty bitty little heart punch. And that seems like a lot. I even have some glue dots here. So it seems like a lot, but I wanted to be able to use several things. I wanted you to have several options. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take this right here. And I have the ruler because some people want to measure out and I did on my first view, but I found something that was much easier was to go ahead and put these on. And I'm going to flip this over so you can see Designer Series paper has prints on both sides. So you can actually, and you're going to line these up so that they meet at the bottom there. And this is maybe what you want your ruler for, because what I'm going to do is I am going to mark where it goes, because I want it to be exact. Actually, I'm going to use a pencil. So having a pencil handy is good for this too. And I'm going to do this on this side. And if you wanted to, you could trace. When I first did this, I traced out and cut my little triangle out. That's another thing you're going to need. You're going to need scissors. Thank the Lord I actually have a pair sitting here. So I am actually going to go ahead and I am going to use my snail adhesive on this part because it's not very wide. I'm not going to go all the way up just yet. Yeah, I do need to go a little more because you're going to cut off a big portion of this. And it's not going to matter which side that you have going overlapping, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to have to move you. I'm getting near the end of that. I might run out this video. So it's kind of difficult to see where this line is, but we are going to go ahead. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and as you know, I always do this little trick where I am cutting the excess off. And I'm just taking my snips. So make sure you have some good paper scissors that you can use. Then I am going to flip it over. And this is where if you want to trace it so it's darker, it might be a good idea, because it is a little tricky to see on these prints in particular. And so I am cutting, and there I got my V already. So I've already got a good start to my card. Now the next thing I am going to do is I am going to start making the parts of the stethoscope, which is why I need a large circle. In fact, this circle is, let me see what the diameter of this circle is. The good thing I have my ruler here. Okay, so this is a 4-inch circle. Now you don't need to use a 4-inch circle, okay? I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it. And there's a reason you don't need a 4-inch circle, because you're going to see that I don't use all this. So I kind of know where I want my stuff to go. So I'm going to cut that. And you're going to want to play with it a little bit. And I'm going to recommend that you not glue it down yet, because you may change your mind once you cut out your stethoscope. I did on mine. I originally had them reversed. Now, I'm going to move this aside because I want to show you some other options if you don't have a die cut machine. So all you're going to do is take a solid piece of paper and take a can of soup or a coffee can, a coffee cup, anything that is, of course, a cylinder. And all you're going to do is trace it. And you don't have to trace the whole can. Okay, so I traced a half circle on there, and you're just going to, I don't know, you can't really see that, can I? There we go. You see this line? You're actually going to line, let me see if I can get it like that. You're going to line your can up just so you have a little bit of space, about 1/4 of an inch. And then you're going to trace again, okay? And it doesn't have to be even. In fact, this one won't be. I'll show you right away. So as you can see, I've got like a little crescent moon, which you could certainly freehand this if you're one of those super talented people. And all you were going to do is cut it out. And once we're, I guess I could have zoomed out for this. Sorry about that. Let's zoom back out. So you can create without having die cuts or super large punches, because you're going to trim these off anyways. And then you would use these as well. So these could easily be used. A little more homemade, a little more special. And I actually did my first one like that because before I realized, oh, I have circle die cuts I could use and layer them. So that's one way. Another option for you is to bring out one of these babies. I don't know if you guys have one of these bad boys, but these are pretty neat because you literally put that sharp point there and you trace around. Now some people can do it like my son can do it, where you make a whole circle. I just don't have that kind of control. And then you would just move it in just a little and you would repeat. And you would want to line yours up better than I've lined mine up. And then same thing, you would cut it out. Still think the die cuts are probably the easiest, but if you don't have those, then I would probably do the coffee can, but it occurred to me you could do it like that. So the next thing I'm actually going to need is this, that scrap paper I was telling you don't throw away. This big circle, I'm actually going to use it. I am taking the balloon, the hot air balloon punch, and I am going to punch it out. And I'm also, while I've got it here, I'm going to take the 1.5 inch punch and punch out a circle. Okay? Just going to set those off to the side. Now this is where your scissor skills have got to come in handy, okay? So basically we're going to create like a wishbone effect here. So I am going to just cut in. And I'm basically going to cut out like a teardrop shape. And this will not look perfect, but it will look cute. And hopefully it'll be appreciated. I don't know. I don't know what else to do. We've made masks. We've prayed. I just, you know, we're at that point where... Now, as you can see, because we don't want it to be closed, you want to snip off a little. Not a lot. Just a little, because you got to put your little ear things in. Okay? And if you want that thinner, you can certainly thin it down on the inside, but that'll work for me. Okay. So now I'm going to... And this is why I said do not glue it down, because you're going to get in here and it's not going to be exact. I made that mistake the first time. And you're going to use this. And I wanted to layer mine just to give it a little oomph. And I actually really like this placement. So what I'm actually going to do is do one at a time. And this is where I think it's really helpful to have something like Tombow glue or something with a fine tip point glue. Tombow glue is real sticky and it happens pretty quick. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do on this one. I'm going to just mark where I'm gonna, that way I can line it right back up where it's supposed to be. Okay? And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. That's cute. See, I'd have had this all cattywampus here. That's my word of the week, cattywampus. And I'm also gonna mark it right up here. And that just kind of tells me where this needs to go back to. Then I'm going to hold it there. And Tombow glue is really sticky and really precise, and you just need a little thin bead of it. Okay? And the good thing about using Tombow is it's a little forgiving, so if you need to like smoosh it around like that, you can. And when it's dry, you can go ahead and rub off any excess. That also works really well. So same thing here. Less is more with really any glue you use. Just because you don't want it to be all messed up. So if you could see here, this Tombow got like a shimmer, and that's where my glue kind of slid around. When that dries, you won't even be able to see it, and I can rub it right off. And you see here, I didn't get this quite level. I'm moving it up. So I got a little wiggle room, but it is pretty sticky stuff, folks. I mean, same thing here. All right, now I got that going on. Now I'm going to take my circle, my little circle, and I'm going to build my little, I don't know what part of what this is called in the stethoscope, so I apologize to all of you. I flunked out of med school. This is where I'm also going to take my itty bitty heart punch and my scrap red. I'm going to knock over my glue here, which I should definitely put the lid back on. And this is cool. This is where you can use like a glue dot, but since I have the Tombow right here, and I have just a little bit on there, I'm going to go ahead and use it. For a minute there, I thought that was a mark on there. And then that part is done. And I'll be using that again, so I don't know what I'm putting it away for. So this part is done. All you need to do is I'm going to use a dimensional. You don't have to use a dimensional. If you don't have them, you can simply just glue that down. But I wanted the card to pop, so I'm putting it up. Now, I'm going to use my Tombow on this as well. And this glue is, like I said, really sticky. Like if you get it on your fingers, like I've got some on my finger, it's going to stick to everything till I wash it. So it's actually a really good glue. I know some people who don't even use snail adhesive, they just use this. I'm too messy to use this, but if you're a perfectionist, this would be the way to go right here. It's really affordable. A little bit goes a long way. Okay. So now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get out my balloon punch again, and I'm going to take, you're going to need 2 pieces of scrap white, and I am just going to punch out 2 of these little baskets, and these are going to be my little hearing buds. Okay. And I really struggled with which way do I want these. Do I want these this way, or do I want them this way? And I decided either way you do them is cute. When I Googled pictures of them, they do kind of look larger, so I preferred this way when it was all done. And once again, you can use glue dots, or you can use your... It's really hard to use a snail adhesive on these smaller parts, just because of the width of the snail adhesive is larger than that. So then I've got wasted glue that could jam up my snail adhesive, and I don't want that. I might have gotten those too close together. I don't know. Still cute. Like I said, Tombow gives you some room here. I'm scooting these back a little. So, super cute. Now, here's basically almost the last thing. We are going to stamp our greeting. Now, if you don't have any more scrap paper, or you don't have something to cut it out with, it don't even have to be that. It could be a little banner. You know, you can use that and use your banner punch. I'm just using a piece of scrap white that I had. I try to never throw away my scrap pieces of white, because you'll use it for stuff like this, or punching little details. Okay, I am actually using a label punch. This is just one I like. It's retired, but any label punch you want, and this is just actually the first one I grabbed. And of course, if you know me, I like to amp up my cards, and one of the way I amp up my cards is by a dimensional. I gotta be a little careful. Putting 2 on. And there's that part. Now you remember what I said the last step is? Is going to be putting it on the card. Well, there is one more step that you can choose to do or not to do, and it's just as cute without. And that is to add some type of skin tone to the background. Now I want to show you what it looks like without. See how cute that is? The idea comes across. It's still super cute, okay? But if you want to, you can take some type of skin tone. This is kind of a shimmery tan color, and it just happens to be, most of the time I work with like reds and purples and pinks, so clearly those aren't skin tones. So the only thing I had was white or this shimmery tan color. So the easy part of this is that you are literally just going to cut yourself a little rectangle, and you just want to make sure that it's wide enough to cover the it doesn't have to be straight because you're cutting along an edge and you're going to use the professional cut edge and not your wonky one. And see? And then we're just going to adhere it to the back like that. Okay? So the way you're going to do it is I'm actually going to adhere it using my snail adhesive. I'm going to be a little excessive with that, I guess. And I'm going to line it up. And you really do want to do this when you use your snail adhesive. That causes that adhesion to take place. I have a lot of people go, my snail adhesive, it keeps popping up. It's because you did not rub, and that really gets that adhesion to go. And there is that. How adorable is this card? Now, the very last step is for you to simply put it on a card base. And like I said, I left a little bit of room because I wanted to be able to see my card. So all I'm going to do now is apply snail adhesive all over the back. And you could wait to put your greeting on till after you did. It is totally up to you. It does make your snail adhesive a little easier. To do. And so there you have a really cute card. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. You may wonder, what do I need that marker for? You need your marker to make stitch lines, and this works a lot easier if you haven't already glued everything down. Trying to dry out my pen here. And all you're going to do is do little stitch patterns on here, and I'll speed up the video so that you don't have to. And this is even easier to do before you attach them. I can't believe I skipped that step. I did it the first time I made it too. I skipped this step, and I was like, why did I do that? So, and they don't have to be perfect. There you go. So there, I did it. Now it looks right. Now I can sleep knowing I did this okay. So I hope y'all have enjoyed this tutorial. I do want to tell you that if you do not have the balloon punch, all you can do this. It's a drawing thing. Draw a straight line or draw a tear shape. That'll work too. But you want it to be about 1.5 inches wide. So if you can do that, and then you just cut that out. I might have made that bigger than I needed to. See, even I can't draw. But the first one I did, let me see if I have it. I did everything by hand. So it doesn't look, but it's still super cute. So give it a shot. Like I said, I used a solid color, but you can totally tell that I cut these out by hand. I did punch this out, and you can see how thick I had my lines then, but it's still a cute card. It was the inspiration for this one, and then I realized, oh, I have tools I could use. And you can see that Tombow is drying, and I can actually just rub it off. I want to show you this. You see that? Those are little pieces of adhesive that are coming right off. Stampin' Up! Also sells something called an adhesive eraser, and it kind of looks like a big glob of dried cement, but it's not. Alright, I hope everyone does something creative today. And if y'all need anything, just visit my website. I'll have it linked in the video below, or below the video in the link. Lord, I'm tired. And if you'll use Hostess Code, that is good through April 29th of 2020. Y'all do something creative today and brighten someone's day with a beautiful card.